What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. In this episode, we're excited to announce another Raven returning to the flock, back at the nest. And before we get into that, though, however, click the subscribe button, give us a like, and of course, click the notification bell so we can keep you up to date on all your Ravens news. But Jimbo, let the people know who is coming back to the flock.
That's right. I appreciate you throwing that softball this way, Glenn. I'm ready to hit out the park. Josh Bynes, the sealer of our Super Bowl victory, the one, the only. Josh Bynes back for his who knows how many.
I know how many times. Would you like to know how many times he's been
let's
here?
hear it, Glenn, because he's back again, ladies and gentlemen, like he never left.
That's right. This is a hilarious stat. And shout out to Sarah Ellison, who tweeted this. The Ravens have signed Josh Bynes to a 1-year deal 7 times over his career. I mean, that is an absolutely incredible number. I don't know what the record is, but 7 1-year contracts with one team has got to be close to the record, if not the record itself.
Yeah, it's incredible. And shout out to him and his longevity. In addition to that, Glenn, he is, as an undrafted free agent, he's going into his 11th year in the NFL.
Dude, first of all.
Yeah, can we shout out for Josh Bynes, the lunch pail of lunch pailers? Does he not does he not identify so well with here and Baltimore? And let me just say this, because I was thinking about this today. I think we should do a video eventually, Glenn, on our favorite current Ravens. And I was going to talk about one Gus Edwards, but all of what I was going to say applies to Josh Bynes, in that how much of it that is in our control, how much of when guys come to the league, you're not a finished product, right? Whether you're a first rounder or an undrafted guy, there's so much that you can still control in your development, physical, intellectual, emotional, all those things to make yourself a viable asset for teams. And it's so cool to see a guy. That's what I love about Gus. That's what I love about Josh Bynes and respect about him. It's his 11th year as a guy that everyone passed on 7 times.
Yeah, incredible.
It's incredible stuff, man. Shout out to Josh. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean that's not many. What's the average length of an NFL career? I think it's 3 years.
3 years now.
And here's a guy who wasn't even drafted going into year 11, and really no signs of slowing down, Jimbo. I mean, I was looking at his production last year, and I know you got some stats. If you want to share some of those stats, and then I'll give you some of the PFF grades after.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh Bynes last year in only 14 games with the Ravens, he started 12 times. Of those 14 games, though, he had 76 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 pass breakups, all in that short span of only, once again, 12 starts. So, like you said, the dude's a producer.
No doubt. And then just to go further into that point, when I was looking at the grades for the defensive players last year and then comparing them to what Josh Bynes brought to the table, just as a reference, Malik Harrison had a total overall grade of 42.1 last year, according to PFF, and Patrick Queen had a total overall grade of 43.6. Josh Bynes, on the other hand, overall grade 74.8. Yep. So massive difference, right?
You know what? And that's so incredible to me, because it goes back to my point 100% in that do you think that Josh Bynes is just, leaps and bounds in intelligence more than those two guys? I would argue no. Maybe there's a chance he's this much more intelligent, but that they're in different rooms, I don't think so, right? But he does so much. You can tell in his preparation, in the way that he carries himself. The reason you can tell is because he's always in the right place at the right time. He doesn't seem to be fooled very often. And yeah, you can say he's had more time in the league, but Josh has been doing this and had to do this from year one, because if not, he wouldn't be here anymore, because he's not a first rounder. He's not a third rounder, whatever Malik Harrison was. I love this signing, but I do have to say I think it's sad for one reason, Glenn. I think my buddy that I met in the Orlando airport is not coming back to the Baltimore Ravens after this signing today, and that is, of course, LJ Fort, who I also would have liked as a signing. I think it really came down to the fact that Josh is healthy and Fort is just recovering still.
Yeah, but I still wouldn't rule it out. I think they could still get LJ Fort and bring him in, especially towards the, once the season gets closer. And if they don't like what they're seeing out of Malik Harrison and his recovery back from the gunshot wound, if they don't like what they're seeing from him in the offseason camps, which are they're coming up, Jimbo, which is exciting. If they don't like how he's moving around, if they don't feel like he's picking it up, upstairs, if he's not, got his head in the playbook and he's picking up, and if he's missing assignments, stuff like that, I wouldn't rule it out as, a return for LJ Ford, especially once like you said, as his health continues to improve and he continues to recover from his last season's injury. But the interesting thing with Josh Bynes is, do you think any part of him feels that he's kind of the second choice at the dance? Like the prettiest girl was picked in Bobby Wagner, and that he was the second? Because I think it's safe to say, Jimbo, if they had gotten Bobby Wagner, it's likely they wouldn't have signed Josh Bynes.
Yeah, so I think that Josh got over that after the draft. I mean, I think, when you go through something like that, you realize how quickly, more than other guys, I think, that get second, third, fourth, and fifth chances because of their draft status. You realize how quickly it's just a business. It's not personal, simply a business. The Ravens had to make a decision, and it worked out in Josh's favor, and potentially the Ravens' favor. I didn't want to pay $10 million a year to Bobby Wagner either, even though he is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. That's just a chunk of change that, we already have a first-round pick and some money dedicated to that position in Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison, who wasn't a seventh-round pick. We're talking about, what was that, third-round pick? I believe that year.
Pick, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think he feels some type of way. You?
I mean, I think that, like you said, I think if he did, he's gotten. If he had those feelings, he's gotten over them a long time ago, because he's been dealing with guys ahead of different reasons, that some of which are unfair to him for his entire career. And most of that's attached to his lack of draft status and those in front of him who had, because like you said, I mean, if you're a first round pick, you're guaranteed a spot on your team, at least in the first season, and likely in at least 3 seasons of that first year draft.
Yeah.
Josh Bynes wasn't guaranteed anything. He's had to earn everything. And so shout out to him for doing so. But yeah, we're excited about it. It makes it less of an absolute dire need, because as the Ravens like to do, they like to be able to suit up in the parking lot before that draft happens if need be. They like to know they could man a team and put a team out there before the draft even happens, so they can, of course, continue their best player available motto when they enter the draft. But does this mean, Jimbo, that they will not select a middle linebacker in the first, say, 3 rounds of this draft?
I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all. And so I wouldn't be surprised, because I think that as much as the fans are on the leash is relatively short for one Patrick Queen, I think it also is for the Ravens. I think they've given him every opportunity to bring in vets, to teach him, to show him. And I'm gonna give a name that we've talked about. I think we haven't discussed ad nauseum. Of course, I talked about Marcus Williams being a Ute, but Devin Lloyd, Glenn, if he's there at 14, people are falling in love with this kid. And I'm excited about it. He had plenty of opportunities to show off his skills throughout his tenure at the University of Utah, especially in this past year, winning the Pac-12 and things like that. So I've heard some lofty praise and lofty comparisons to Devin Lloyd. So I would not be shocked if they just double down.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Because that's like the Ravens do stuff like that. That's just kind of what they do.
Right. I mean, if they feel like he is the best player that's on the board, I can't see him passing him up. I mean, would I be surprised if you told me 5 years ago, they're going to take a middle linebacker in the first round in 2 out of 3 drafts? I'd be like, you're out of your mind. But
right.
If I think the middle linebacker spot is extremely valuable if you can find a guy who can support the run as well as stay on the field in passing situations. If you can find a guy that can do both, that's extremely valuable. Plus, wear the green dot on the back of his helmet. I mean, it would be worth the investment, especially in the AFC North, the black and blue division that it is. So let us know what you guys think. Are you excited to see Josh Bynes back? Are you happy to see him for his now 7th one-year deal with the Ravens and overall 3rd stint?
And counting.
Yes, and counting. Would not be shocked to see him back here again next year at all. And it is expected to be for the vet minimum, so I'm sure you're not upset about the contract money. But let us know if you expect the Ravens to still attack the middle linebacker position in the draft. And we'll talk soon.
See ya.